Welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again. This is the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Thomas, bringing you the latest edition of the Thomas Take, bringing you the latest Thomas Take on the Buffalo Bills. Lately, the Buffalo Bills have been bringing in some big-name prospects. Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, rumblings of Watson coming in, getting a workout with the Bills. Pat Mahomes from Texas Tech. All three of these guys have one thing in common. They are quarterbacks in the 2017 NFL draft class. And three guys that are highly touted quarterbacks in this year's draft in a weak quarterback class in comparison to years past. And this always happens. We always hear about players coming in, guys coming in that aren't necessarily the players that will be playing for this team. They're guys that are diversions for other teams to tune into and think as if we are going to take these players. And realistically, we are not. We, meaning the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills restructured Tyrod Taylor. They have no need for a quarterback that high in the draft at 10th overall, where that would be where they would be taking one of these players. Watson is a top first-round rated quarterback. Trubisky is a first-round graded quarterback. Mahomes is a first-round graded quarterback. So three guys that are anticipated to be going in the first round, barring, a setback from one of the guys off the field, I'm assuming. I'm assuming that these three players will go in the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft. And Buffalo has a plethora of needs other than quarterback. We restructured Tyrod. We brought in T.J. Yates. I'm not too crazy about that. We got Cardale Jones at the third string spot. I'm assuming Yates and Cardale battle for the backup job. Maybe Yates will actually be the backup. Maybe the Bills will carry three quarterbacks. Usually it is best for a team to carry three quarterbacks on their depth chart. So only time will tell in that regard, but I don't anticipate the Bills taking a quarterback 10th overall. And Sean McDermott today, in probably the first instance in which he said something that I didn't agree with at all, was where he said that this may or may not be a smoke screen. And it's like, okay, well, if it is a smoke screen, half the world knew. You're not fooling anybody. If it isn't, then give us some realistic reasons why you're interested in this player. Be honest with us, without giving away too many secrets. Let us know if you're actually looking for a quarterback. They're not going to do that due to the fact that they got the media on their back constantly. If they put out the feelers that they're interested in a quarterback, it could, ruin their disguise, if you will, as far as what they're looking to get. So there's so many different avenues we could take with this smoke screen. But frankly, I don't want to hear stories like this about a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 17 years. Sean McDermott isn't responsible for that. He just got here. But he does know that it's been 17 years since this team made the playoffs. I want to hear about the guys. I want to see the Bills actually taking things seriously. And this was the first instance in which I don't think they are. They went to the quarterback workouts with Kaiser, Trubisky, Watson. I'm hearing Doug Whaley is in love with, according to a report out of Buffalo Rumblings. So we don't really know what to believe, but we do know the facts are the facts. This team needs to make the playoffs this year, needs to get better now, and taking a quarterback 10th overall, I don't know if that does that. They have a lot of needs on the defensive side of the ball. They have needs even on the offensive side of the ball that pertain to helping the quarterback position. Wide receiver-wise, we have a quarterback now that can get receivers the ball in certain routes. But we need a wide receiver too. Robert Woods is gone. Marquise Goodwin left. We brought in Andre Holmes. We brought in Corey Brown. I don't know if that's the long-term wide receiver 2 or 3 for the Buffalo Bills. They might be looking to bring somebody in. not taking a Mike Williams or a Corey Davis or a O.J. Howard and taking a quarterback might not be the best option, given that we're paying a quarterback currently on our roster $10 million. So I don't really know long term. It is essentially only a 1-year deal, and that is the other side of the coin. Do they see Cardale as a future option? Currently, probably not. T.J. Yates, God knows he is not a future franchise quarterback. So might there actually be some validity to the fact that they could be interested in one of these quarterbacks? We don't know. We never will know. But I don't like the idea of smoke screens. It's just, with my team, I want to hear legit information about players that actually make sense. I want to know if they're actually interested. I know we never will, but I just found it odd that Sean McDermott came out and said that it quite in fact could be a smokescreen. Sean McDermott doesn't seem to be that type of guy to play with the media. He left his chess pieces kind of kept those secret. He wasn't going to play out his next move on the chessboard, so to speak. He was playing chess while everybody was playing checkers. Now it seems like he's kind of buying into this media thing with his recent quotes about the smokescreen. I didn't really like that, and I hope that when the Bills are on the clock come draft day, they actually know who they're going to take, and who they are going to take will be a vital part of the 2017 team. If they are interested in one of these quarterbacks, maybe they should not have restructured Tyrod's deal. If they're actually interested in one of these quarterbacks, they probably should have let Tyrod go and move forward with a clean slate. And they didn't. So that's why I have a really hard time believing as to whether they are interested in one of the top quarterbacks. If they want to take a guy in the middle rounds like they did with Cardale Jones, like a Nathan Peterman, or maybe a later round Chad Kelly flyer, that I would kind of understand. But taking a Mitch Trubisky at 10, taking a Mahomes at 10, taking a Watson at 10, when you have a lot of other needs, and when you restructured Tyrod Taylor, I find that to be a little bit confusing. So only time will tell. What the Bills need, in my opinion, is a defensive player that you could add to the few cornerstones on defense that we already have, or a wide receiver threat, or a tight end threat. That would be O.J. Howard, that would be Mike Williams, that would be Corey Davis, that would be Reuben Foster. Those are the four guys. One of those four guys, if the Bills stay at 10, which if they're not sold on any one of those four guys, I would look to trade down and collect as many picks as possible to fill this roster that has quite a few holes on it, a roster that is not looking good so far, especially in the depth department, at all positions, really. This is a team that has depth issues. This is a team that has had injury issues for whatever reason. The injury bug has hit the Buffalo Bills a lot the past 10 years. So if they bring in a guy that adds depth to their team, it will only bode well for the future. They need to add depth at those positions. I love the idea of Reuben Foster being a guy that the Bills could take, being a guy that they could pair with Reggie Ragland. Foster probably better suited for middle, but Reggie's the middle now. I would put Reuben on the outside and really try to mold him for that role. He might not initially fit, but he's actually an upgrade in this system in comparison to who the Bills have currently. Preston Brown is average. Lorenzo Alexander, great guy, great player, great story last season, but I don't know if he fits the 4-3 defense like he did the 3-4 defense. I don't know if he fits that 4-3. I think he's more of a reserve backup type linebacker in the 4-3 as opposed to a starter in the 3-4. So only time will tell. That's one of my favorite phrases, and I know I've said it quite a few times tonight on this episode of the Thomas Take, on this part of today's show. But only time will tell. Mike Williams is a guy that is highly linked to the Bills, as he should be. The Clemson connection is for real. I think that there's validity within that. I think that it would make sense for the Bills to take a guy like that. He's a big target for Tyrod. O.J. Howard, I keep saying it. O.J. Howard. He's a guy that I really like for the Buffalo Bills. Clay Clay Matthews. Charles Clay is here at tight end. He's been heavily underutilized. Maybe they, see more of a role for him. He deserves to have more of a role, but an athletic specimen like O.J. Howard is not a guy I would pass on. And he's a guy that could go to a team in the top 15 and be a real difference maker on that team. He's better, I believe, than Eric Ebron was coming out of the draft. And Ebron was high on the Bills draft board. Chris Brown of the Buffalo Bills said that if they had not traded up and got Sammy Watkins, they would have moved on and selected Eric Ebron at 9th overall. So, they like Charles Clay. I know they do, but 2 is better than 1. And if they could change the scheme a little bit to get 2 tight ends in this system, which is known to be successful in Rick Dennison's offense, I think that they should look at doing so. They got a lot of options. One of them is trading down to fill the defensive needs that they have. But in terms of smoke screens and stuff of that nature, I really hoped that they would not talk about smoke screens, bring in players that they actually have legitimate interest in. Another case, another side of this argument could be that maybe they're bringing in these quarterbacks to see what they would be like once they play against them rather than when they draft them. But why are they wasting their time scouting guys that they know that they're not going to take, driving and flying to workouts that they know that they're not going to take the player? Are they sold on Tyrod Taylor? Clearly no. They restructured his contract only for this season only. They could cut him and not lose a penny. So I don't know what to believe. Is this valid that they have interest? Should they have interest? I can't say yes or no to that. I can't agree or disagree. I'm kind of in the middle. But it's kind of curious as to why they would even restructure Tyrod in the first place when they know that they would be taking a quarterback in the first round anyway. It doesn't really look good as a franchise to take a quarterback in the first round in EJ, a quarterback in the 4th round in Cardale, and then the next year take a quarterback in the first round. That's not a good look for a franchise. It's very dysfunctional, and that is what they have been the last couple years. Well, not couple, the last real 15 years that their team has had this playoff drought, 17 years that they've had this playoff drought. So I think Sean McDermott is the best coach that the Bills have had since Wade Phillips. I was a little bit surprised that he kind of would go back and forth a little bit with the media, but hopefully I'm just reading into this too much. Hopefully, they actually do have some interest in these quarterbacks. I hope that they do, for the sake that they're actually going after guys that they want to take. So only time will tell, but I'm Ryan Thomas. Thank you for tuning into the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. We're going to go to commercial break. This is BSN 716 Radio.